Hello again YouTube, and welcome back to Just Get a Tesla. And on this beautiful sunny day, I'm going to be doing the Northeast 250 in this Model 3 Performance. I know that this car is hardcore, but if you need to go on a road trip, what's it like? Is 250 miles too far for this car on insane mode? And yes, I do mean insane mode because I'm going to be driving the whole trip with acceleration set on insane and with the dynamics set on sport. Let's go hardcore today, even though I'm here at the seaside in Pennon in Aberdeenshire, and we're going to be doing a 250-mile loop of Aberdeenshire and Moray and climbing up into the mountains, going past ski centres, going down river valleys, past Balmoral Castle where the king lives, all of those kinds of things. This is going to be a real test for this car, and I've only actually done this once in my previous Model Y, and that absolutely had enough legs to be able to do the whole trip, but I'm not quite so sure about this one. And the reason why I'm not entirely sure is, well, how can I put this? I charged the battery up to full, but it's 7 miles from my house to this beautiful piece of coastline. So I've already done 7 miles. I need to do the same back, so call it 15 miles that I need to add on. It says Northeast 250. I think it's actually a few miles more than that, and the car is telling me I've got 298. That, I'm sure, should be absolutely fine, but then you look on the 200-mile average and it's 284 miles, maybe a little bit tighter. And just to make sure that it's as difficult as possible, we're going to go into the dynamic settings. We're going to put acceleration on insane. We're going to put ride and handling, it's already on sport. We're going to keep it on sport, and we're going to go heavy on the steering weight. What I'm not going to be doing today is going into track mode and having a play around with the presets, so I can turn the car into a large Citroen Saxo and have full understeer front wheel drive lunacy, or I can go to Beamer mode where you've got full oversteer. No. We want all-wheel drive all the way around, because that is probably the best thing for us to do. So 250 miles to go, let's get on with it. The first bit of hill climbing of the day is immediately as we come out of the village. We're trundling here in between the houses and the seawall, and the way out is here if you've never been to Pennon before. So a big swing, full lock, and through the gap in the buildings, and then as you can see it just starts climbing practically straight up, which of course is no problem for a car with all-wheel drive, but it's some gradient. No wonder there's a grip box. You definitely need to try and get the ice off this road in the winter, otherwise you're not getting to the bottom in one piece. And away we go. Pennon isn't technically on the Northeast 250, it goes past the crossroads, but I always start finish there if I'm going to do this, because why on earth wouldn't you? And then you are straight out into, well, just look at this. It's got to be said, this car on sport dynamics, and remember it's got adaptive dampers, so it tightens everything up, but this car on sport and insane, okay, I haven't done any insane acceleration yet, but it's really quite firm. Let's put it that way. On bobbly roads like this, it's really quite firm. I said on a previous video that it's kind of the same as if you had an M Sport Mercedes, M Sport BMW, or an AMG line Mercedes. It's that kind of firmed up, harsher riding suspension. If you're used to that, this is going to be no problem at all. And of course, you can make everything easier. Simply go into dynamics and go to standard. And as you go to standard, it just releases some of the stress on the dampers, and it does improve the ride. This road is terrible, by the way, so this is not going to be a smooth ride anyway, but it does just free things up a little bit. But we don't want to do that, so we're going to go back onto sport. And to make this test fair, because let's be honest, I am in Model 3 Performance, there is no point at all in me nursing this car around. We're going for it. In essence, we are going for it, and that means off we go. We are going to go and make this thing work, or we're going to run out of juice. But we're going to have some fun while we're doing it. And what I do love about the 3 Performance is that it is eminently chuckable as you go into these bends, right? It doesn't matter almost what speed that you're going at. You can just throw the car in, apply some power, and it goes round. When it's on all-wheel drive mode, I suspect if I went into track setting and made it rear-wheel drive bias, that it's going to feel very different. But maybe we'll do a bit of that later on. Dropping into Macduff, and the North Coast 250 I think is basically a tourist invention. Hey, the North Coast 500 is popular, why can't we do one in the Northeast? And it literally loops through various towns with things that they hope that people will go and stop at. In my case, I'm not stopping in any of them. I just need to keep going as a loop. But my energy consumption has already been significantly higher than my Model Y all-wheel drive would be. So as we start dropping back down to sea level, we're only just below 300 watt hours per mile. I think I'd probably be on more like 210 or something on the Model Y. And okay, so I've been driving briskly. I haven't been driving crazily. You do have to moderate your foot a little bit with the insane acceleration, because the slightest little bit of anything and the car starts shooting forward. It's really quite entertaining. And if you haven't seen my other video that I shot in this car where I took the family for a spin, go and watch that, because yeah, their reaction is really quite special. Let's put it that way. I still grin like a small child in this car. But this isn't about non-stop hoonage. This is also a, can you actually live with this car as a long distance cruiser, a GT car as an example, a Grand Tourer, where you would take your large and expensive car, which is slower than this, like say an Aston Martin DB12, out on a tour. So we are going to Grand Tour the northeast of Scotland, although of course this is probably slightly harder to refuel than an Aston Martin DB12, albeit a lot cheaper. And of course this car was fully fueled when I woke up this morning. I haven't had to go to the petrol station to go and stick dead dinosaur juice in it, as of course I would if this was the Aston Martin. And talking about dead dinosaur juice, here it is. So EVs are just better in terms of being able to get up and the thing is full of electrons, but of course you have to have charging to be able to do that. Let's be brutally honest. If you're in the market for some kind of rip your face off acceleration car, you've probably got somewhere to park the car off the street. In which case charging isn't going to be a problem, is it? We are at the foot of the first of the climbs up to the ski centre. So Lecht, you can see on the sign, that is the Lecht ski centre, which is way up there. And that's where we're going now. I am very relaxed driving this car, albeit it is definitely firmer than my Model Y, but you would expect that. But although, as a reminder, we have got the car set up as hard as it gets, so insane acceleration, sports suspension, heavy steering, it is still very easy to drive, it's still very compliant. I have had quite a bit of fun, as you might have noticed on some of the more recent clips in that last montage. It is eminently thrashable without going completely stupid, because again, as we said, this is not about driving like an absolute hooligan. This is a grand tour. So we are trying to waft our way around the more elegant parts of Scotland, and certainly we've got plenty of them on this trip. So we are now going to climb, and then another steep descent on the other side, a bit more up and down, and then we've got another ski centre to climb to. So at the moment we're on 265 watt hours per mile over the last 80 miles, which is impressive. Okay, so I know I was relatively wafting it because of traffic and road conditions for the first leg, but on the second leg I've not been hanging around. So the fact that we're still on a relatively low, love that, relatively low state of charge, I think is pretty impressive. We're definitely going to burn more as we climb up to the Lech Ski Centre, but that's okay. We're having fun. I think we're going to be absolutely fine on power. So on 69%, and that's advising that I've still got 200 miles of range and I've done 80. So that'll be absolutely fine. It will get me all the way around and it will get me home. There won't be a lot left, but we're on track. Up to the ski centre, which you can now see in front of us. Gosh, this guy is going very, very slowly. Can we get past him anywhere? Maybe. I wonder if he's going to pull over and go into the cafe anyway, but just in case he's not. See, I can overtake without breaking the speed limit. It is possible. This car has got infinite power. It feels like. At any speed, in any condition, and we're climbing fairly steeply, it just wafts along without the slightest care in the world. I do appreciate the amount of power that this car has got, and again, if you haven't seen my previous video, it's not so much horsepower. So the Lech Ski Centre and crossing back into Aberdeenshire over the cattle grid. And here we go. So in the winter, obviously this is all snow. It's mid-July, so there isn't any, but that's absolutely fine. I was saying, this car, compared to the all-wheel drive normal Model 3, has got 50% more torque, 50% more torque than the standard all-wheel drive car, and that comes from having a beefier motor on the back, and also they have improved a whole load of other components, tougher bump stops. There's a variety of different component changes that are made versus the standard car, but again, it's the sheer amount of torque that this puts out. It's absurd, gloriously so. We really need to get past this van so that we can see, because this is a German tourist spot with everyone coming and taking pictures, which is great, but you're trying to see out of my little camera here, and I really need to be able to see in front. So if we get a chance, we are going to blat past this van at a rate of knots. Let me see. Yeah, there's no one coming. Off we go. Now isn't that better? And now, of course, we're going downhill, so it's all regen. And we'd only got to, what, 279 or so, 280 at the top in terms of watt-hours per mile, nothing dramatic, and now we get to recoup a whole pile of power on our way back down the hill on the other side. And it is just downhill. Love the blind summit. Can't really see over that, but I could see further ahead. So every now and then, when you are making progress in this car, something happens where the mud flaps start catching a little bit. I just had it then, which is quite entertaining. Whoa. Here we go. Look at this. Ladies and gentlemen. I think we probably need to dive in and take a bit of a picture. Where are we going to do the picture? We'll do the picture over here. This video is brought to you by Millibricks, which is my online store for Lego-compatible tanks, planes and jeeps and other military vehicles. If you want your own tanks, then check out millibricks.co.uk and use the code GET for 10% off. It's so silly. It's so silly. You absolutely hurtle yourself towards the horizon, and then my voice goes up here like this. Big stop, hairpinter. And then back onto the power. Oh dear me. What fun you can have in a Model 3 performance. What fun can we have on this beautiful sunny day? Thrashing our way along the Northeast 250. It's like the North Coast 500, only not full of camper vans and hypercars. And here's the thing, this, and I keep saying this, is faster than an Aston Martin or even a McLaren Artura. So I'm absolutely clear that an Aston Martin DB12 will handle better than this Model 3 performance. Of course it will. But in the real world, in the usable world, where you're not on a track and you're on roads like this instead, I mean, what is going to be faster? Because you can put this into places that you'd be very scared to put your £150,000 hypercar. Is that even a hypercar? It's probably only a supercar, isn't it? What's a hypercar? £1 million. They'll be faster. But again, wouldn't you be terrified of bottoming it out or hitting a boulder or getting stuck around something else? You know, this car is £60,000, which is a lot of money. But for the sheer amount of lunacy that you can have, right? Find me something that's better for the money or for more money. This is just absurd fun. And I am having fun now. I am making progress, shall we say, as you might have noticed. And I've got to be careful because I can't actually see. I can see there's no car, but what I'm looking for there is a cyclist or something before I start cutting the bend more than I was going to do. So we've got to respect. And I'm also looking down here. You see the tarmac where it's got what I would lovingly in Lancastrian describe as scrape marks, okay, where cars have literally bottomed out and then started scratching their sump or something on the tarmac. That is the problem with going along here in a car that's too close to the ground. At least with this, it's still a family saloon, which means that you're a little higher off the ground than you would be in an Aston Martin, and therefore not impaling bits of your sump guard onto the tarmac. The most that I've done is scraped a little bit of mud flap on the tarmac. Well, we can probably cope with a rubber mud flap a lot better than we can anything else. And that, I think, is the point, right? This is just insane fun. And it's still efficient. I mean, we're still only on 277 watt hours per mile on the 95 miles or so that I've been driving the Northeast 250. It's not even decimating the amount of power. It's fabulous. There are parts of this route where you really do have to slow down because it just drops away. This is 20% at its steepest and it's undulating. Again, more scrape marks. I've seen a couple of skid marks where people have found themselves going far too quickly and then have panicked. Wow. Yep, it's not the Isle of Man TT, boys. So I was having to back off there to make sure that I didn't get, I've got to make sure I don't get to the apex on some of these at the same time as they're coming at me in the opposite direction. That would probably not be much fun, even though I'm on my side of the road and they are not. We've gone through Braemar and we're now heading up towards Glenshee. This is, I think, a gentler approach than either of the ones at the Lecht ski centre that we went past a little while ago. And here is the ski centre. Not a lot of skiing going on today for understandable reasons, considering that it's 27 degrees. Look at this though. We're not going all the way down towards Blairgowrie and onwards towards Perth, but the little bit that you're seeing here is worth it just by itself. So, this is the Devil's Elbow. So I was wrong. It is the Devil's Elbow car park where we turn around. And what can I say? This has been a lot of fun so far. And this is basically halfway, like 121 point something miles of the 250. So it's effectively halfway from where I was. And the battery is on half. And you think, you've got a little bit more than that to do. But don't forget, I know, okay, I've got to climb back up there, but that's only a little bit, and then it's a lot of downhill. And then after that, it's largely flat. So even with a bit more hoonage coming up, we're not going to have a problem with range, I think. I hope. We'll find out. I'm sat here in the editing suite, which today is my sofa, actually waiting for a very rain-delayed Belgian Grand Prix to start. But we're going to cut the video here because there is far too much material to try and squeeze into one video. As a spoiler for part 2, let's just say that my range gets tight. Very tight. So if you want to watch that, make sure you've liked and subscribed and hit the bell icon, and I will see you back here very soon on Just Get a Tesla for part 2.